What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Disappointing day for the Canes yesterday with DJ Pickett, the prize cornerback prospect, committing to LSU. We will break down the impact of that decision. Also, another blue chip cornerback, Jabari Antoine, out of Louisiana, committing on Saturday. We'll discuss that and the cornerback position in general, the future of the cornerback position for the Miami Hurricanes. First, I want to talk about some folks that do not disappoint, and that is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life. They're not getting paid until you get paid. Pete, jump in. So,
D, hold on. I got to say, before people are alarmed here, I have a crazy look today, dealing with a little bit of an eye situation here, but I don't know. I may have to keep the look. I kind of like it.
I like the emoji. They're like the emoji when someone's like silently committed and they do the little circle with the sunglasses on, man. That's you right now, styling and profiling in the middle of the day. But, you know, I came on here yesterday and I said, look, I'm not guaranteeing anything by any means. No one really knows what the decision is. But reading just, you know, cultural factors, I didn't see him going to Oregon, which was everybody was rejecting him to. I thought, given Miami's ties, Miami staff's confidence, I thought Miami was the logical pick. Turns out everybody was wrong. He ends up going to LSU when, again, pretty much the industry had him going to Oregon. Miami coaches confident. And me thinking this is a kid with massive ties to Miami through his uncle, through his family. His cousin is here right now. I didn't see him going to the West Coast. He didn't have to. He goes to Louisiana. So, you know, I'll take the L on that. I think towards the middle of the day yesterday, I posted on CanesInSight on the free forums, which if you're not signed up, 6.9 million posts and counting, sign up for free. I posted that I was losing a little bit of confidence. I didn't get the same confidence from Miami. Miami had heard that LSU was a factor, but they weren't sure what to believe because there was so much Oregon buzz before then. There were so many people around Picket talking about Miami being ultimately the choice. Goes to LSU, Corey Raymond. Obviously, that program's history developing corners. Corey Raymond's history developing corners. But I get the feeling that this one is not going to be done until December.
Yeah, I just am, like you alluded to in the beginning, D, it's amazing in today's day and age of recruiting that this one really came out of left field here. But like you said, I would imagine that all schools involved in this recruitment are going to continue to push because you just never know what could happen. But listen, you got to give him credit and his people around him for keeping it so tight-knit, right? Again, in today's age, it's rare to see everyone as off as they were here.
Here's what I'll say, and I've said this consistently from the beginning. Maybe I'm wrong again. If Miami wins, his cousin has a good experience and is having fun at the school. His cousin, Booker Pickett, a defensive end signee who's impressing early on in workouts. Of course, is he going to have the size to play right away? We'll see. But a very prized blue chip recruit who's doing well already in the workout sessions, physically moving around. If he's having a good experience and relaying positive messages about Miami, and if Miami is winning on the field, I do not see how this kid does not end up at Miami. He said repeatedly, I want to see what Miami does on the field. I want to see what Miami does on the field. He ends up moving his commitment date up, obviously removing the ability to see how Miami does on the field, and commits to LSU. I don't see him ignoring what Miami does. To me, this is similar to Jeremiah Smith, where I said all year, if Miami really gets it done on the field, I see Jeremiah Smith going to Miami. That's where he wants to go. Jeremiah Smith ultimately didn't see those results from Miami, went with Ohio State because of the proven track record at his position. Look, these guys have families to think about. They're being smart and logical with these picks. You know, people get so mad sometimes with these commits, but really a lot of times these kids are acting the same way we'd want our own kids to act. Like if your kid has a chance to go to Harvard over Miami, you're probably going to push him there. Although, well, there's been some things lately, maybe you wouldn't. But in general, let's say MIT, right? You're an engineer and you want to go to MIT. You're going to tell the kid that that's probably the best option based on the track record, the proven success about going to that school and getting paid at a later date. With Ohio State and Jeremiah Smith, it was pretty easy to see the path to first round. Same thing with Alabama for many years.
Receivers, yeah, that's what I was just thinking too.
LSU and corners, it's easy, especially with Corey Raymond, it's easy to see that path. And you say, all right, I just plug myself in. And I know I'm going to be on the path, if I stay healthy, to the first round of the draft. It's a safe, logical choice. You really can't fault the kid for thinking that way. Now, Miami's job is to become both the choice of the heart, which I think they already are. They were for Jeremiah Smith. That's why they finished so close even after a bad year. And I think they're the choice of the heart for DJ Pickett. Their job is to make this also the logical choice. And I think that's what the season is for. And that's why when you talk to people around Miami, they say, yeah, look, they wanted to get Pickett's commit yesterday. Don't get it wrong. And they want to get as many commits as possible before the season. But they consistently have said the message, which I've relayed to you guys, we have to win. This recruiting class is going to be determined by how we perform on the field, no matter what it looks like in July. And it looks good. We're top 10, I believe, in the country right now. Better than we were last year at this time. But their message is, if we win on the field, this thing is going to go to a whole nother level. If we lose, same way the other direction. So I think with Pickett, you want to right the wrongs that happened last year with Jeremiah Smith, where the kid was begging you to give him a reason to go to Miami and we couldn't do it. Pickett's doing that right now. I definitely don't think that commitment is rock solid. He's not a Louisiana kid. He's a Florida kid with Miami ties. Miami just has to deliver on the field.
D, you didn't make a very logical choice this morning wearing your LSU colored shirt right there.
I didn't even notice. Well, I'm representing Razor Ramon.
I know.
A resident of Cayo Ocho, Miami, Florida.
But between Pickett's decision and now Miami up against LSU here for Jabari Antoine, I don't know, man. You gotta think it through a little bit more. Lay out some better options.
You're right. You're right. My daughter liked the shirt because of the colors, but I should have thought this one through. So that's why you're the stylish guy on the scene with your indoor shades. So I got to listen to you, Pete. With Pickett going to LSU, the next logical question is what's going to happen with Jabari Antoine on Saturday when he chooses between LSU and Miami. So, just kicking it to you, you spent a lot of time in Louisiana. How hard is it to get these Louisiana kids out of Louisiana?
Well, look, it's obviously you're up against LSU, right? Which you're up against that, but then you're also up against all of the other SEC schools in the area. You're up against Texas, right? Because Texas A&M has gone into that area. A&M became an it school there for a while. And you look at, again, what we just talked about, the position, especially in this situation in particular. You're talking about a cornerback who's already been committed to that school. But definitely, I think Miami, it's in a good position to be able to start grabbing some talent from the area now, which has obviously been, Coach Guidry's ties in the area, I think, go a long way. But this is a must get now at this point, I would think, D.
Yeah, and those who, are questioning who we're talking about, Jabari Antoine, cornerback, New Iberia, Louisiana, commits on Saturday, number 71 overall player in the country, number 8 cornerback in the country, number 2 player overall in the state of Louisiana. Miami and LSU are the 2 finalists. From what he's telling people, FSU has been eliminated, so now you're zeroing in on LSU, who he was committed to before and has since decommitted from, and Miami. Different than the Pickett situation. Corey Raymond's still prominently involved. Corey Raymond, in this case, is from the same hometown, New Iberia, as Jabari Antoine. So there's a lot of ties. I think I read somewhere that he was his cousin. It's like Cuban. Some of these smaller towns, everybody kind of knows each other and has some sort of familial tie. So that needs to be overcome. The Louisiana State, LSU, since Saban's been there, has been pretty dominant in terms of keeping players home. They do a better job of that than even Alabama does with Alabama players, Georgia with Georgia players, Ohio State with Ohio players. No major program, in my view, does a better job of controlling their home state than LSU. So that's a factor. And then Miami in general has not landed these top 10 corners. That's been the problem with the University of Miami's recruiting consistently for 20 years. Even as other positions have been upgraded with top 10 talent, the defensive ends, the offensive linemen, the defensive tackles. You've seen Cristobal recruit at that high level running back, even wide receiver last year with Nikar and JoJo Trader. Corner has been the toughest one to break. So can Miami break through there? There's really certain recruiting rules that Mario smashed, right, Pete? And you've been following recruiting a long time as well. We never got premium Samoan players all the way here in Miami on the other side of the globe. He's accomplished that. We never dominated the West Coast like Mario has done. Going into a place like Ocala and getting Tommy Kinsler, who Florida wanted badly. Going into Seminole, Sanford, and getting a guy like Max Buchanan. These are battles that Miami just did not win in the past. And this kind of battle here, LSU wanting a corner that's a top 10 corner from Louisiana, this was like the highest degree of difficulty in terms of traditional recruiting, traditional Miami issues. And this would be a major statement if Miami can get it done on Saturday. Everything I'm told is that there's a lot of optimism here, but you just never know with these kids, especially at a place like Louisiana.
And as you know, I was just playing his sophomore tape there, D, and now we have the junior tape. But you see it. He still has a baby face, right? But you see the length, the frame, the movement skills, the movement ability at that size, and just looks like a complete player at that position. Would be a huge pickup here.
Quarterback as well as a corner. So you see the athleticism and the instincts. He's got the length. You see the long arms in those pictures. The ball skills. He can play the ball. Just a natural mover. You see the footwork there, changing directions. He's somebody who, look, Louisiana corners like this, they tend to make it. This is not a state that has a huge bust rate. These guys are always pretty tough. They're always pretty instinctive. And if they have good athletic ability, which this guy does, good traits for the position, they usually do pretty well. Similar to South Florida players, but probably even more consistent. Not as many from this area, but they are very, very consistent in their performance, which is why LSU has been such a consistent producer of NFL talent over the years. And again, this is a guy, if you look at Miami's cornerback class, you got Chris Ewald from Chaminade, very good player. You beat Georgia for him, so that tells you a lot. Long. I don't think he's as athletic as Jabari Antoine. You don't see him playing quarterback. Tim Merritt from Mobile, Alabama, very athletic, very long, kind of a jack of all trades at defensive back. I don't know if he's the polished corner that Antoine is. He doesn't have as much experience at the position, played safety last year, more of an upside play with Merritt. So in terms of ready-to-play corners on a team that needs young cornerbacks that can play, Antoine is probably the top target. I don't say top target on the board because I think Ben Hanks is the best corner of all of these guys, hands down. But certainly when he's committing on Saturday, he's representing a major need.
Yeah, and D, I know we got to shout out Caneswear here, so I'll let you do that now. But, also want to take a look at some of these other guys on the roster that got to keep developing at that position as well.
Yeah, you're hoping that I might ask Brett, hey, have you got any orders from New Iberia, Louisiana for some hats? Because if Jabari Antoine wants to commit in style on Saturday, he will go to caneswear.com. Obviously, he can't go to the store in Davie like some of you folks in South Florida who can go there and experience the great staff, great environment, the TVs, the huge selection in person. But if you're not that lucky and you're not that local, you're in New Iberia, Louisiana like Antoine, go to caneswear.com. Or they got everything up there. Extremely easy to use site, very good search function. If you have something in your head that you want, type it into the search function. You will probably find it at caneswear.com, the spot where Miami fans shop. So Pete, like you did the transition there. We had the kids from the 2024 class in spring. We talked about them all the time. JoJo Trader, Nikar, Elijah Lofton, guys who are playing in spring, and you've seen them in pads. Now you have the later arrivals, the Catholic school kids, the kids that had to graduate later and couldn't do the early graduation thing. St. Thomas Aquinas always represents a few of these players because they can't graduate early in the Catholic schools. Heritage, St. Thomas, a school like where Justin Scott is from in Illinois, those Catholic schools, they tend to not let you graduate early, so you get these guys later. St. Thomas always has a couple of those guys. Romanus Frederic, Ryan Mack, two young corners that did not have the fanfare of a Pickett or an Antoine or a Ben Hanks, even an Ewald. But they are both guys that are making waves. There you see Ryan Mack, with Mac, what I'm told is he's bigger than people thought. He looks like he's not at the Corey Couch. He's probably not even a Jaden Davis. He's not great size, but I would say he's solid NFL average size, at least on the track to being NFL average size once he fills out. 5'11", long arms, and he has a very, very good technique. The son of Rod Mack, ran a 10.9 at some point, so he does have speed. He's a guy that when Miami got him, a lot of people thought it was just sort of a political play because he's really tight with JoJo Trader. When they saw him in the season, and his senior film is outstanding, and then seeing him at the Under Armour game where he was considered probably the best overall cover corner there, became a blue chip player after that performance because he just did so well against such good competition. You couldn't deny him. He became a different category of recruit. Now they've seen him on campus. He is somebody who's impressed with his size, like I mentioned, his movement ability and his maturity. These are workouts. So you're not talking about padded football. There is a limit to what you can gather in this setting. But when you have a guy like Ryan Mack, where the film shows very good instincts, where the film shows tackling and physicality, you really just want to see, hey, where is he at physically? Stacking up against these other guys. Because sometimes a guy might look a certain way, but when you see him against all the top guys that you have on campus, they look a little shorter and a little slower than you expect. The only way to really see what they're dealing with physically is to stack them up with your roster and see where they're at. And I think Mack, early on, physically, working out, running around, covering guys in certain drills, informal and otherwise, has looked very, very good and looked like someone who is going to help this team. Certainly not a political play or anything like that. This is somebody who is going to help this cornerback position with his technique and with his overall readiness and IQ to play. Another name, Pete, I want you to pull up his senior highlights if you can, and that is Romanis Frederic, teammate of Ryan Mack. I have talked about this guy a bunch, and every time I ask who's looking good in workouts, the name I get back is Romanis Frederic. This is the other corner at St. Thomas, originally at Deerfield Beach, played receiver, mostly played a little corner, transfers to St. Thomas, ends up playing some receiver, a lot of corner, and some kick returner as well, which is unusual. St. Thomas has so many D1 players. You do not have guys playing multiple spots. That's your first kind of eyebrow raiser with Romanis Frederic. This guy's 6'1", 3-star player, committed to West Virginia, goes to Miami's camp, blows up. Miami, CanesInsight.com, the free message boards. Again, sign up for free, no promo code. You sign up, you get your name in there, you're on there for free, 6.9 million posts and counting. We were the first to tell people that Romanis Frederic is a major target. Also did on the podcast. Like and subscribe if you have not. And, of course, he ends up committing. But we put him on the radar. He did great at camp. Miami's coaches loved him in that setting. They watched him as a senior. They liked what he did on film. There was some hiccups. He had a big game, a national televised game where he tackled like a receiver on a play and gave him a big play. But the size and the movement was there. Again, you see him returning kicks and playing wide receiver in the highlights. Now seeing him on campus, the word I'm getting is NFL talent physically. No pads, no pressure. Take it with a grain of salt, but you can see how tall a guy is. You can see how a guy moves. You can see how a guy looks in relation to the players you already have on campus. Romanis Frederic, aside from probably Jordan Lyle, is generating the most buzz among these early entrants because of his size, speed, and movement ability, as you see on these highlights. So as we talk about these corners that you're adding in the 25 class, do not sleep on these 2024 corners and their ability to play right away.
And I think with both of these guys in particular, you're going to know pretty early on in camp because they're going to be given opportunities, I would imagine, at that position. It's not like, look, and I think guys like Justin Scott, Armando Blunt, mid-season are going to be in that mix in the rotation for sure. But I think like it may be a little tougher at that position because there's some vets in front of them. Here, it seems like there's more of an opening, right, for that third, fourth corner spot right now. I expect Deani Hill to be, a very solid corner here as one of those top guys there. But it seems to me like there's more of an opening, and I would expect those guys to get thrown into the fire a bit early in camp. Yeah,
look, especially if Mish Powell, who played nickel and spring, kind of majors in that free safety range, which we need him probably. That's probably where he's best suited. Plant him there. Now you have 4 corners that you can really trust that have played in games, which is Daryl Porter, one of the better cover corners in the ACC last year for Miami. Damari Brown, who played as a true freshman and showed a lot of flashes, but is not as proven as Daryl Porter, probably the highest upside of this crew. Jadis Richards started the FSU game, played a lot as a freshman for Vanderbilt, has experience. You still want to see more because of his physical talent. And then Deani Hill, who you mentioned, Pete, who started most of the year for Marshall, finished very strong, looks like one of the better additions from the portal. I know my coaches were excited about his size and speed when he arrived. That's 4. Guys get hurt. Excuse me. And you need 3 at least because of the nickel position not being manned by Powell. You try to add one in the portal. You couldn't. That was really the only unfilled need on the portal list. It was a nickel. So now you move one of those other corners to nickel. If you keep Mish Powell at safety, which you hopefully do, that opens up a lot of room for playing time. I'm told both these guys have a chance to play right away. With Frederic, the question is, he didn't tackle great early on at St. Thomas because he was so much of a receiver before then. Is tackling improved over the course of the season? Is that going to continue? Obviously, you can't tell now because they're not tackling, but the coverage stuff looks really, really good. But I think that's a position where you could see one of these guys sneak into a spot. You still have Robert Stafford doing his thing. Another name I haven't even mentioned, Dylan Day, the true freshman from Louisiana. Unlike these other 2 guys, Mack and Frederic, Day was here in spring, did some really nice things. Coach Guidry called him out specifically. He got hurt, nothing serious, hamstring. He's back doing things. And he was another guy that was mentioned as doing nice things here in the offseason. Of course, just workouts. You got to see what happens in camp. But to me, one of the most intriguing things to watch as we get into fall camp, Dylan Day, Romanus Frederic, Ryan Mack. Who's going to be the guy that's playing special teams, that's pushing for snaps at corner? Are they going to beat out Robert Stafford? Don't forget about him from last year. Another true freshman who did not play, unlike Damari Brown. I heard he was in line to play a little bit, can also return. Got sick last year. Now he's back, fully healthy. Can Robert Stafford hold on these young bucks? Because he's got a golden opportunity this season himself. Very athletic guy, former receiver in high school, 2-way guy with a lot of athletic ability, can even return for you. Interesting battle with some young corners as you talk about the next wave, the Antoines, the Ewalds, the guys that are in the recruiting crosshairs right now. Don't forget about the guys that have signed, and they'll be coming on campus to boost up the young cornerback room.
All right, D, that I think just about wraps it up here. So big decision this weekend for Jabari Antoine, and hopefully picks the Canes. Although it looks like, again, with your shirt there, man, you gotta switch it up. LSU, man, the purple and gold. Seen enough of it. I'll
go to Canes for this weekend and get myself something new for Monday. Hopefully we celebrate.
All right, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everyone for watching as always. Go Canes.
Go Canes.
This an insight to the Canes, and we ain't playing no games. Joaquin said dominate, so that's what we do. Home of the legends and 7th floor crew. Down in Miami where hurricanes brew. You here for the rumors, we bring you the news. Cause it's all about the you. And nobody do it like CanesInSight. 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 It's CanesInSight.